I'm a little bit frustrated by my current situation because I don't want it to be this way forever.
Welcome back to more Girls Next Door, the podcast where I not only revisit the iconic episodes of The Girls Next Door, I uncover the contradictions, behind-the-scenes drama, and accidental psychological case studies hiding beneath the rhinestones. Today's episode, which launched on October 28, 2006, is called The Age of Aquarium, which sounds less like an episode of reality television and more like the title of a very expensive scented candle sold in a gift shop attached to a dolphin exhibit. But don't let the fish fool you, because this episode contains one of the biggest emotional turning points of the entire series. It features a circus, a monkey intervention, a public discussion about Viagra, a MySpace scandal involving Eminem, and perhaps most importantly, the moment Holly Madison realizes that after 5 years together, she and Hugh Hefner are not celebrating the same relationship. But before we get to the anniversary dinner where the cheese isn't the only thing melting down, it's time to crack open the Y2K vault. October 2006. The celebrity story dominating every tabloid wasn't a new romance, it was the end of one. After 2 years of marriage, Britney Spears, one of the biggest stars on the planet, had just filed for divorce from Kevin Federline, a backup dancer who became one of the most disliked men in celebrity culture almost overnight. From the moment they got together, the public was skeptical. Actually, skeptical is probably too polite. People openly questioned his motives, mocked his career ambitions, and treated him less like Britney's husband and more like a fan who accidentally got backstage and decided to stay. For months, the public followed their relationship through reality shows, paparazzi photos, and endless magazine covers. Their chaotic reality series, Britney and Kevin, Chaotic, attempted to show viewers the real relationship behind the headlines. But instead, it often fueled criticism. Even as adorable baby bump reveals gave way to proud parent announcements, the cracks behind the scenes were becoming impossible to conceal. And what's interesting is that many fans spent years defending Britney's choices because they wanted her fairy tale to be real. They wanted the critics to be wrong. They wanted the relationship to work. Until eventually, reality became harder to ignore than the fantasy. And that's what makes it such a fitting backdrop for today's episode. Because while America was watching one highly publicized relationship unravel, Holly Madison was confronting a different version of the same problem. What happens when the relationship you've spent years defending doesn't seem to be moving forward at all? What happens when you keep insisting everything is fine, even as evidence begins piling up that maybe everyone else is seeing something you don't? Sometimes the hardest part isn't losing the fairy tale, it's realizing everyone else thinks you're already living it. And with that, I'm going to ask you to kick off your candies, hang up your trucker hat, and silence your sidekicks, because we're heading to the circus in the Age of Aquarium.
When you go somewhere with Hef, it's VIP all the way. We'll get ringside seats.
You should have a red nose.
Yay, thank you. And we get to meet the owner.
Enjoy the show.
Thank you.
I know we will. Thank you
so much.
I think you're the highlight of the circus, honey.
Well, they love the freaks.
The episode opens with rapid-fire shots of performers. A hyper clown, a trained elephant, an acrobat shot out of a cannon, and Bridget in polka-dotted bubble skirt and high pigtails wrapped with mismatching ribbon. Seriously, she looks like a birthday party magician. If someone told me she was about to make balloon animals professionally, I'd believe them instantly. Holly tells us that whenever they go somewhere with Hef, it's VIP all the way, even attending a circus tour passing through Los Angeles. The group is invited directly into the circus ring where they dance and wave to the audience. Kendra says Hef was the highlight of the circus. Without missing a beat, Hef responds, "Well, they love the freaks." And the circus metaphor actually works a little too well. Everyone is performing, everyone has a role, everyone understands what the audience came to see, and nobody is allowed to break character. The next scene initially looks like morning at the mansion. Kendra crawls out of bed, Bridget curls her hair, Holly signs stacks of 8x10s from her bathroom vanity. But we discover it's actually late at night, and they're headed to KROQ's radio studio to appear on Loveline. And for younger listeners, Loveline was a cultural institution. Originally hosted by Dr. Drew Pinsky and Adam Carolla, before later iterations featured Dr. Drew and Stryker, the show mixed sex advice, relationship counseling, and listener call-ins. Basically, imagine a podcast before podcast existed. And if you were a teenager in the late 90s or early 2000s, chances are you listened at least once while pretending you weren't.
The show's been on for 16
Yeah,
years.
you still listen to it in high school. I just didn't want to say that in front of Dr. Drew because I didn't want to make him feel old.
Holly used to have a crush on Dr. Drew.
Nice.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to sit by him.
At the station, they're greeted by Dr. Drew and Stryker. Stryker is wearing a shirt that says, "Boy Next Door." Holly tells the hosts she listened to Loveline when she was in high school. Then, while batting her lashes and shyly breaking eye contact, she jokingly says she didn't want to say that in front of Dr. Drew because she didn't want him to feel old. And girl, you flirtin'. In confessional, Bridget quickly reveals that Holly used to have a crush on Dr. Drew. Holly confirms it, and take it from me, she wasn't alone. Dr. Drew was peak Silver Fox Energy before Silver Fox Energy had a name. And he was a doctor. The man never stood a chance. Kendra mentions she's been feeling under the weather, so Dr. Drew offers to examine her ears, nose, and throat. Kendra genuinely thinks he's joking because she didn't realize Dr. Drew was an actual physician, which feels very Kendra. The radio interview itself is fascinating because the girls accidentally reveal a lot more about themselves than they intend to. Stryker asks the timeless question, "Girls, does size matter?"
Kendra, we'll start with you.
Yep.
Size does matter. Holly?
I don't think it does. I mean, if you're really into the guy and you have good chemistry otherwise, I don't think it matters.
Okay, Bridget?
I think it does to a certain extent. You can't be too small or too big, but there's a pretty wide range in there.
Now,
Yeah,
if you meet a man and all of a sudden he whips it out and it's, let's just say 4 inches or so, do you ever just...
Bye.
Kendra answers immediately, "Yep." No hesitation, no deliberation, no committee meetings, just yep. Holly gives the diplomatic answer. If the chemistry is right, size matters less, and then Bridget delivers perhaps the most Bridget response ever. It can't be too small or too big. A perfect middle lane. No risks taken, no strong opinions formed, just safely parked in neutral. Then Hef calls into the show. Stryker asks how he keeps up with 3 girlfriends. "They keep me young," Hef says. When asked if he uses Viagra, Hef casually admits, "Well, if you have 3 girlfriends, you need Viagra." And I'll say this for Hef. He occasionally answered questions with a level of honesty that almost feels shocking by reality television standards. Eventually, the discussion turns toward the mansion itself, the girlfriends, the old era of 7 live-in girlfriends, and where Holly stands now. This is where the episode quietly changes, because Holly begins talking about her approaching 5-year anniversary with Hef. And at first, her comments sound hopeful. She says their relationship is different, stronger, more meaningful. She believes he no longer needs 7 girlfriends because their bond is deeper, that she allows him to be himself, that she's shown him something real. And part of me understands why she believed that. After 5 years together, anyone would want to believe they had built something unique. But there's another possibility here. Maybe it wasn't quality finally defeating quantity. Maybe Hef was simply 80 years old. The simplest explanation is often the correct one. Back at the mansion, we get another revealing Bridget quote.
As long as Hef and Holly are still happy with me being here, I plan on still being a part of this in his life.
And she says, as long as Hef and Holly are still happy with me being here, I plan on still being a part of this and in his life. That sentence might explain Bridget better than any other quote in the entire series. Because unlike Holly, Bridget never seems to be chasing the next step. She's not demanding change. She's not pushing for exclusivity. She's not asking difficult questions about the future. The arrangement itself is the destination. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with that, it's impossible not to notice how fundamentally different her goals are from Holly's. Holly wants progression. Bridget wants preservation. One wants evolution. The other wants the moment frozen forever. And eventually, those two outlooks become impossible to reconcile. Next, we meet Aunt Jane. Bridget's aunt is a primate expert who arrives to evaluate Coco the monkey, or, as Holly would probably describe her, her daughter.
Luckily, I have another love in my life, and her name is Coco. She is a spider monkey, and I kind of think of myself as Coco's mom. She's my baby girl. I just know when I'm out there caring for Coco that it makes a difference. And with Hef, it's just like, he has other girlfriends.
She's ready for her close-up.
But with Coco, she likes it that I'm interested in her best interest and everything, and guys aren't that way.
We're going to put you in a centerfold.
After observing Coco, Jane determines she's overweight and would likely benefit from companionship from another monkey. Which leads into one of the most revealing comments Holly ever makes. She explains why she likes caring for Coco. And in summary, Holly says, I know when I care for Coco, it makes a difference. She likes that I have her best interests in mind. But with Hef, he has other girlfriends. And pause, because that's the entire episode, maybe the entire relationship. Coco needs Holly. Hef doesn't. Or at least not in the exclusive way Holly desperately wants. The monkey receives her care, her attention, and gives that attention back. The relationship is simple, predictable, reciprocal. Her relationship with Hef never is. And next we arrive at the aquarium storyline. Holly visits the mansion's fish expert Bob to select anniversary fish to gift to Hef. We get a glimpse of the mansion aviary, a beautiful rainforest-inspired stone structure where exotic bird enclosures and the aquariums are. Holly wants to add life to the saltwater tanks because she says Hef is always complaining there is not enough color to visually appreciate from the aquariums. And symbolically, this feels important. Throughout the episode, Holly keeps trying to improve things. The monkey, the aquarium, the anniversary, the relationship. She's constantly nurturing, constantly fixing, constantly investing. The question becomes whether she's receiving the same effort in return. Meanwhile, Norma calls Kendra into the office, and suddenly we're dealing with MySpace drama.
I didn't mean to put you in there like that.
No, you're my baby.
Because I didn't know this was going to wind up anywhere. Hef is like on my side. He got my back to the day I die. And when Hef laughs, it does something for me, you know? He's just, it's the cutest thing in the world.
My first rap video, current mood, pissed off. That's my baby.
The issue involves a blog post Kendra wrote following an incident during the filming of Akon's Smack That video featuring Eminem. According to Kendra, Eminem unexpectedly dumped water on her head, ruining her hair and makeup. She became furious, attempted to confront him, then later vented about the situation on MySpace. The internet truly was a magical place in 2006. People weren't issuing carefully lawyered notes app statements. They were rage blogging directly from their desktop computers. When Hef learns about the controversy, he doesn't get upset. Instead, he starts reading Kendra's blog post aloud. My first rap video. Current mood. Pissed off. He erupts into laughter. That's my baby, he says, kissing her face. And I think it's one of the more revealing Hef and Kendra moments. Not because he's defending her behavior, but because he's clearly amused by her authenticity. And then comes the most plugged sponsorship that wasn't a sponsorship of the entire series. Sprinkles Cupcakes. Again and again and again. If you watched this show during its original run, there was a point where viewers genuinely wondered if subliminal advertising was occurring. Sprinkles had launched in 2005 and quickly became the symbol of the gourmet cupcake craze. 20 years later, the story ends much differently. The company permanently closed all company-owned stores and its famous cupcake ATMs at the end of 2025. Founder Candace Nelson later expressed heartbreak over the abrupt shutdown after the brand had long since passed into private equity ownership. It's oddly fitting. One of the biggest symbols of 2000's excess eventually became a victim of changing tastes. Kind of like reality television itself.
I talked to the chefs, and they actually went to the restaurant, got the actual pots, got the actual recipes and ingredients. It's definitely easier to bring the restaurant here rather than try and convince Hef to drive an hour and a half to go to dinner somewhere. How many of these are we doing?
Bridget spends the afternoon preparing for Hef and Holly's anniversary celebration. With help from Crystal Camden and Brian from Guest Services, she recreates Holly's favorite restaurant, the Melting Pot, inside the mansion. Fondue stations, special recipes, decorations, custom signage. The amount of effort is genuinely impressive. Bridget acknowledges people might think it's weird that she's throwing an anniversary party for her boyfriend and her girlfriend. But then she attempts to explain it away by saying she met Holly and became friends with her first before becoming involved with Hef.
Some people might think it's a little weird to throw an anniversary party for your boyfriend and your girlfriend, but it's really not, because I came into the situation with Holly and Hef being the main relationship and actually became friends with Holly before developing a relationship with Hef. To me, that's the number one thing.
Okay, but what does that have to do with anything? The logic arrives at the destination before the GPS has finished calculating the route. And later, while getting ready for her anniversary, in a short white cotton wrap dress with a crystal-covered bra sparkling underneath, Holly admits something she has spent years trying not to say out loud. After 5 years together, she no longer believes anything is going to change. And then she delivers a line that completely reframes the entire relationship. Hef doesn't have a fear of commitment, he has a fear of monogamy. Whew! For years, Holly has been treating these as the same thing, and they're not. A man can commit to a lifestyle, commit to a routine, Commit to a partner emotionally, commit financially, commit publicly, and still never commit exclusively.
Hef doesn't have a fear of commitment, he just has a fear of monogamy. But I think throughout Hef's life, he's always had a primary relationship, and he's always been really emotionally devoted to that. And I know he really values our relationship and how close we are.
For perhaps the first time, Holly seems to understand that the issue was never whether Hef was willing to build a life with her. The issue was whether he was willing to stop building the same life with multiple women at the same time. And after 5 years, she thinks she knows the answer. What's heartbreaking is that even after arriving at that realization, she can't quite let go of the dream, because she quickly follows it with a familiar reassurance. She still believes Hef values their bond. She still believes he loves her. Maybe not in the way she wants, maybe not in the way most people would define a romantic partnership, but perhaps as much as he's capable of loving anyone. Is that not the saddest thing? Holly isn't arguing that she's getting everything she wants anymore. She's negotiating with disappointment. She's lowering the bar from, he'll eventually become the partner I need, to, this may simply be the most he can give. And those are two very different mindsets. Finally, we reach the anniversary itself. The fish are unveiled. The dinner begins. The room looks beautiful. Rose petals have been scattered over tables, and on one sits a sheet cake with an image of Holly and Hef screen printed in icing. Red and white balloons cover the ceiling, and their ribbon stems hover above everyone, 100 tiny streamers swaying in the air. Everything feels set up for a romantic celebration.
There's a lot of interaction when you have fondue, so you can have conversation and you're sharing, and it's just a really romantic way to celebrate an anniversary, even if it is with 10 people.
A photographer snaps images of the group of about 10 gathered at the round dining table. The family that plays together stays together, Hef says slightly under his breath, but loud enough for the cameras. I'm not rolling my eyes, there's just some cheese crusted in the ceiling corner. And then Hef gives a speech. He starts by acknowledging 5 years with Holly. Good. Excellent. We're on track. Then almost immediately, he pivots. He starts talking about Bridget and the time they've had together. Then Kendra. Then it's the family they've all built together. And suddenly, Holly's anniversary isn't Holly's anniversary anymore. It's everybody's anniversary. Years later, on Girls Next Level, Holly admitted this moment devastated her, and it's easy to understand why. After 5 years together, she wanted recognition as a partner. Instead, she received recognition as part of a collective. For Holly, this was an anniversary. For Hef, it was a system. And those are not the same thing.
I'm definitely in love with Hef, and I've never been with somebody that I've connected with as much as with Hef. There's just a lot of things I wouldn't find somewhere else. I don't find somebody who's as devoted to romance as he is, and somebody who I can have fun with and share a lifestyle with. That's unique, and that's one of a kind.
One perfect rose for a perfect relationship.
Then comes the scene. The one everyone remembers. Holly gives Hef a card. Instead of reading it privately, he begins reading it aloud at the table, which appears to catch Holly completely off guard. She starts fumbling through torn envelopes and a stack of opened greeting cards. Then she unexpectedly bursts into tears and covers her face with her hands. The room goes quiet. Hef stops reading and smiles at her. He puts one arm around her and pulls her in. "Aw," he coos as tears stream down Holly's face and dinner guests uncomfortably avert their eyes from the couple. And pause. Years later, Holly explained this was essentially her breaking point. Not because of the card itself, but because defending the relationship had become exhausting. The relationship was always public, always questioned, always scrutinized. And she was carrying years of frustration she couldn't safely express. The tears weren't about one moment, they were about 5 years worth of moments.
Holly's not typically very emotional as far as crying. She usually is very controlled. It could be the fact that the path that she's come down, I mean, it's been a rocky road to get to this point. And I think it could just be a combination of everything. Like, we made it to 5 years, and this is really special, and there's more to come.
Because you're everything.
Bridget comes on screen to control the narrative for viewers, and she says that Holly is not usually overly emotional, but it has been a rocky road to get to 5 years. This commentary alone reveals more than it seems to on the surface. Bridget is exposing what the show so desperately tried to keep secret. It wasn't all rowdy pool parties, smiling celebrity encounters, and luxury European vacations. Occasionally, the truth sneaks through, and here it does. A rocky road. Not a fairy tale, not a dream, a rocky road. As Holly composes herself enough to lean away from his grasp and wipe her face, Hef resumes reading the rest of her card. And I'm like, come on, bro, give this woman a break. Was he that tone deaf, or was he simply committed to the show continuing at all costs? The cameras keep rolling, the scene keeps going, the performance continues, just like the circus from the beginning. Is that what makes this episode so fascinating? It starts with a circus, a place where everyone has a role, a place where everyone performs. A place where audiences see wonder while the people behind the curtain work incredibly hard to keep the illusion alive. And by the end of the episode, Holly can no longer hold up her side of the illusion. The tears break through, the fantasy cracks, and for maybe the first time in the series, viewers get a glimpse of how much effort it takes to maintain a dream that isn't evolving. In her final confessional, Holly says that 5 years is proof. Proof of what? That's the question. Proof of love? Proof of loyalty? Proof of endurance? Or maybe all three? Or maybe it's proof that sometimes you can spend years building a future with someone only to discover you're imagining two completely different futures.
I think 5 years in a relationship is a huge milestone. I think, that our relationship has proven itself between Hef and I, and the special thing about it is everything just keeps getting better.
And that's where we'll leave the Age of Aquarium, an episode that pretends to be about fish, but is really about a woman slowly realizing she's been swimming in circles. And if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share more Girls Next Door with the other former reality TV scholars in your life. And remember, sometimes the biggest cracks in a fantasy appear during the moments that are supposed to feel the most perfect. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.
The bricks.